About this. Listen, you might have seen a new ad campaign justifying bank profits over the weekend. The four big banks alone, remember, made $31.5 billion over the last financial year. Have a look at this.
It goes to millions of everyday Australians
who own bank shares through their super funds.
Profits don't belong to the banks, they belong to everyday Australians like you.
Australian bank profits belong to Australians.
Australian banks belong to you.
They do, of course they do. Authorised by T. Pearson, Sydney.
OK, so who is T. Pearson? That's the most important thing here. Well, this is Tony Pearson right here, the Executive Director of Industry Policy at the Australian Bankers Association. So no surprise, the banks are conducting a hearts and minds campaign to justify their profits. But why now? Well, it's all about politics, because inside banks there's a realisation the vast majority of customers actually like their banks, but as a class they're despised and used by politicians. Hence, Tony Pearson's boss is Anna Bligh, the former Labor Premier of Queensland. And there's a growing realisation a Royal Commission into the banks might be inevitable, given Bill Shorten's lead in the polls. In actual fact, it might happen sooner rather than later because of a few quirks. Now, there's Barry O'Sullivan, Senator Barry O'Sullivan, the Liberal, keen to introduce a bill for a commission of inquiry into the banks via the Senate. Now, that's unusual because normally bills go via the House of Reps, but a precedent was created last week with the same-sex marriage bill actually going via the Senate. Now, such a bill would still have to pass the House of Reps, but remember, Malcolm Turnbull's government's in the minority because of the resignations of Barnaby Joyce and John Alexander. And Bob Katter, for one, is keen for a Royal Commission into the banks. It almost might come down to George Christensen, a National who says he wants a Royal Commission, but also made a promise not to vote against the government while Barnaby's away from the Parliament. The markets over the weekend, the Dow Jones down 100 points.